Today, we are doing a healer spotlight with a special guest. Welcome to this video. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to be doing this healer spotlight, which is a special, different type of video than what I normally share on my channel. And this is where I'm bringing on a special guest, a former client and student of the healer program. And today we have Dawn, who is joining us. She is an intuitive guide and a certified angelic healer, as well as a certified Reiki healer. And I'm just so excited for you to learn more about what Dawn has to offer and more about her journey. There's a lot of things that she has experienced that I think that so many people will resonate with and find that they've gone through something similar as well. And so it's just such an inspirational journey for you to listen into. So let's get started. Hi, Dawn. I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the Healer Spotlight, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I just love this space with you.
Yeah, so good. I'm so excited for you to share with everyone more about you and your journey and your work because it just feels so special. And one of the things that I know I've told you many times in the past is how I feel like with your energy and your work, it just feels like a warm hug. Like anything that you bring through, like I remember when you first showed me your website and things, I was just like, oh, it just feels so nurturing and so loving. And so I want to start off with asking you to share just a little bit about the work that you're doing today because I know that it's a unique blend. You know, you've were pre-certified in Reiki, and now you've gone through the Angelic Healing certification. And so just kind of sharing a little bit about what you're doing with the work that kind of how you're merging it together and supporting people.
Right. I'm a Reiki practitioner and also do oracle card readings and tarot. I'm learning and then I have a soul tending program which integrates kind of all of it. And it's a way for people to really go inward and access their inner light and through various modalities of spiritual divinity tools, practices, and things. And a large part of woven, a kind of a thread throughout, is angelic guidance. So working with the angels to help people kind of be more in tune with what they bring, how they can heal, like a co-creation of a sort. So rather than it being the like I'm doing something with for someone, it's they're accessing their light. I'm working with them. The angels, it's all this kind of this symbiotic nature of things that occurs, and I'm very excited to be offering that as a modality and space.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love that because it's so unique and like you're saying, just like this blend of everything, which I'm sure it kind of is
Yeah.
moment to moment,
Mhm.
person to person, kind of like what does this person need? What does that person need? And it's different every time. And I'm curious to know too, in terms of your connection with the angels, was that something that you have felt your whole life, or was it something that you an initiation happened and then that's when you awakened to the angels, or like what was that experience for you?
It is, I think, because I look back on it, I don't feel like like I knew that because I didn't grow up in a religion. So I know from friends and other people I've listened to, the Catholicism has a very strong connection to, like in Catholic school, my friend says she learned all about the angels, and you know,
Yeah.
so I had a more of, I would say, my clairs were definitely working, and I had a lot of kind of rough childhood, birth to 18. And so there were definitely, like, I'm very clairsentient and clairvoyance has developed, but those intuitive nudges that I learned to now, now I know what they like. I have a different vocabulary language for it,
Right.
right? Back then it was like, I gotta leave. Like, I'm feeling this, and it was like my sacral chakra or my, whatever it was at the time. And so I feel like that was the angelic presence that I grew up with. And I knew, like, it was a claircognizance too. It's like,
Mhm.
yes, no, yes, no. Like, and it was very clear. Like, I couldn't have been more like in school. Like, it was so
Yeah.
school, right? We're all at
Right.
school. And that was my school. Like, that was middle school. And very different figures were in my life throughout, including most, like, when I talk about different figures, parental figures. And so I
Mm.
had opportunities to listen to my body and
Yeah.
the guidance that was coming through. Didn't know that, and that's how I think how often it comes. Even now, it's like I have a different awareness of what's coming through because of my connections now with
Right.
the angelic realm and stuff. So yeah, I've always felt connected though to angels, like in terms of, oh, decorating my house. Like there were always,
Mm.
I named my daughter after an angel. So, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
so it was like I've always felt, I don't know, that like the image is very much a part of like safety and
Yes.
comfort and light and all of that. So, yeah.
I love that so much. And it's such a beautiful example of just knowing that the presence has always been there, even when we are not aware, because I think that's such a common thing that we all go through in our life and our journey when we reflect back and we can think, like, oh, like that was the presence of the angels, or that was divine guidance that came through, or that was my intuitive knowing, even though at the time you couldn't name that, or you didn't actually know what that was. But it's really interesting to see, I think, when you then go through the actual learning experience and begin to actually learn about these things, and then you can connect the dots and be like, oh, that's what was going on my whole life.
Exactly it. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And I'm curious to know too, because I know that, you had a career prior to this
yeah.
in education and, kind of more focused with kids and things like that. At what point did you feel that there was maybe something more that you were being called to offer, or kind of what did that transition look like for you? Was there a period where you were like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you eventually found it, or was there always this inner calling, or like, what was that like for you?
Mm. Well, I left the teaching profession due to a health condition that really catapulted me into kind of the unknown. And
Yeah.
a lot of pain, a lot of me searching for
Mm.
different, like, well, why is this happening to me? And what is this? It was all about and then it was like, when's this gonna happen? Like, when? It
Yeah.
was just like, it was. I left the like searching or trying to think that something outside of me was going to be the magic, that
Right.
would fulfill me or would steer. Just I had to shift and I had to go inside and do some healing within my own mindset and belief system. Okay, so really going inside fully to learn how to fully trust my intuition, releasing my old stories and fears that I needed to somehow earn my healing, like the gifts that would be present to me. And I'll backtrack a little bit saying that I took Reiki 1
Mm.
for myself to help me as part of my healing modality, among many other. I felt like I had one or two appointments every week for at least 4 months. And
Mm.
it was very sad and no answers, no, nothing anyone. It was almost like the universe was saying, not even out there in the medical community, like not, like so I had I had to go somewhere else and it led me to
Right.
Reiki healing and 1 and 2. So
Mm.
practitioner. But I was really called to work on myself for a long time. And then I was offering it to my friends, and they still come to see me. So it's been a journey of coming into little they're big actually. They're containers, like, healing sessions, healing groups, you know, angelic healing program, and then really learning to I went through really going through it, coming out of it. We all have that imposter syndrome kind of thing, but also
Yeah.
just really being authentically who I am. So growing into that was a great, I mean, especially the last year, has just releasing those old fears about not being enough or having
Mm.
to mold into what other people think I should be and make myself more palatable and, or safe. And then moving in, from the imposter syndrome into more of a sacred leadership. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And I just have to share that as you were saying all that, what I kept feeling was almost like this imagery of like an peeling an onion, like removing these layers, how essentially your journey was really mirroring this like removal of layers that weren't actually you. And what you found was you, and you're continuing. I mean, we all are always continuously discovering more and more of ourselves, but it's kind of like that connection back to your true self is what brought you here and what led you to now doing this work. That's
absolutely.
wild. Amazing. And I also just wanted to mention too that I think so many people can relate to
Yeah.
that what you shared about kind of not being able to find answers in traditional medicine, how like they just were not giving you the answers that you were seeking. And so it was a matter of you now looking elsewhere in a different higher level of what was actually going on, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that's the calling on the angels to help me heal as well has been like, as part of the program, there's journeys and,
Yeah.
meeting the angels and that kind of thing. And I felt like that's when some I'll say magical, very, very interesting things came on for me, which came online, I guess, for me, is is especially with the Seraphim Angels, and they're
Mhm.
angels. So they heal. I mean, that's probably one of their aspects, but I feel
Yeah.
like that's something I really locked into, is like, oh, I can call on them, and I can call on them. I work with a bunch of practitioners who, also are healers, right? So it's like I can call on them for specific guidance, or even healing. I've had them work
Yes.
on certain parts of my body, and so something
Yes.
I offer people is that too. Yeah. So it's coming into and owning, um, the light that I can bring and helping others do the same, right? So
Yeah, exactly. It's like that saying, I forget, I think it's Marianne Williamson who said this, but it's like when we shine in our light, it gives other people permission to shine in their light because now they're inspired by the fact that, oh, like
Yeah.
Dawn is doing this thing. Like maybe I need to explore something or whatever, But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what that reminded me of, which I love.
Love, love, love her.
Yeah.
So many good quotes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's so, so incredible. And I really love that you touched on the Seraphim Angels because I think for me personally, that's something that I strive to change the narrative around Seraphim Angels and what people might typically think of as Seraphim Angels and things like that. There's a lot of information out there, and it's just, I feel like when you understand their true purpose and their true nature and how they are, and like you shared kind of really experiencing that. I remember when you first mentioned like, oh my gosh, my seraphim angels, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you mind if I share?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go for
I
it.
was sitting in meditation and I just called on them and it was the room, it was must have been night, like in the winter, because we were in, maybe it was in December. And I called on them and there was nothing, like I have an office and there was nothing like lit up over here. And I could tell there was a light over here. And I was like,
Wow.
what is that? Like that, oh, it's them, it's, or her. I don't know what, if there's a group or,
Yeah.
you know, but yes, that's happened several times. So yeah. When I'm in dim spaces, I see more than
Yeah.
when I'm in,
That's so
it's different.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the other thing too that I want to just highlight that I really love that I think is just such a beautiful example too of how everyone, every healer, every person is different when it comes to how they receive the awareness and the connection because like you had mentioned you're very clairsentient so you feel and
Yeah.
you sense and
Yeah.
not necessarily see clairvoyantly as much but it's still the experience is so powerful and so true and so real regardless
Yeah.
you know and
Absolutely.
and and so it's been really cool to see how you've taken your strengths and your clairs and really worked with them and really utilized them and developed them and deepened into them which then naturally just opens everything up anyways you
Yeah.
know
Absolutely.
yeah, that's really cool. I love that. Another question that I have for you too is kind of speaking to, your experience within the healer program and, where you were prior to the healer program in terms of, what really inspired you to join or what do you feel was the calling that was like, oh, that's the thing, and also where you are now on the other side of it, like what would you say is the difference in the Dawn before the program and the Dawn after the program?
Right. I felt a deep soul calling to work with you. Just, I don't know if it was, I think, because I was watching the YouTube channel actually for a long time and
Mm.
just like, you know, thought once your program came out, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know there's more for me. I know there's more light to embody. I felt deeply called to also be in a container with
Mm.
other people because this isn't everyday conversation.
Right.
And I was already working with, I was like drawn to the energy of, like I was working with energy, but I was drawn to the energy of the program and the container because it felt angelic and
Mm.
yes, and it's very, very intuitive kind of feeling I had, to go, it was safe to go deeper. And
Yeah.
I wanted to, refine my gifts and really learn how to trust and not give in to the ego mind that says,
Mm.
no, the doubt and the things that can arise. I wanted to learn how to really just be, you know, connected, like very assured and very like
Mm.
stand strong in that. And and be of service. I mean, that was the number one thing. It's like you know, I do I do pray, I do meditate, and I, you know, call on the angels daily. So it's something that I feel witnessed by them. You know, now that I've been working with them, but then to be witnessed by others on a similar path as a healer,
Yes.
you know, and I yeah, I feel like I have so many different names for what I do, because I also feel like I'm a guide and a teacher, you know. I'm
Yeah.
very strong as a teacher, and I feel like, you know, teacher can have one connotation, but guiding, you know, and guiding is, I feel like, helping others coming to into their own as well. So because we're
Yeah.
all teachers, right? We all have, you know, our inner knowing, and we
Mm-hmm.
can take little pieces of what someone's teaching and make it into our own. I feel like that's what I did with you is, you
Mm.
know, I feel like I took it all though. It was like
Yeah.
pouring me up a sponge, and and it's so self-paced too, which is my learning style. I have ADHD, more of the
Mm.
category, but I feel like that really served, you know, the visual, the audio, you know, self-paced, you know, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Even after it's done, I'm still working my way through it.
Yeah.
The pieces I need to, you know, and I can always go back to it, which is so lovely. And
Yeah.
you're so generous. You're
Aw,
very, yeah. So thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. And it's just been such a honor to witness your growth, even just within that 4 month period of just when you first came in and kind of like it's like that fresh new energy of like curiosity, what am I going to learn, what are we going to do, kind of that, and then now just like really, like you said, like sponge and like integrated. It just feels so much of this, like what I see is how what you've received and absorbed and are integrating now, it has almost like molded you in a way, if that makes sense, almost like like that feeling of, oh, like it's shaped me and allowed me to now
Yeah.
stand more powerfully in my truth and stand in who I am, and have that confidence to create offers like the program that you mentioned, you
Yeah.
know so that's really beautiful, and I really appreciate you sharing that because, yeah, that's amazing. One question I have is if you have anything that you like, any sort of message or advice that you would share with someone who's maybe on that path of discovering their gifts as a healer or curious about exploring their path as a healer, but maybe feel hesitant, maybe feel
Hmm.
that lack of confidence or just simply in fear, like, is this for me, am I ready, just in general when it comes to the path of pursuing your calling as a healer, what's something that you would say to someone who is maybe seeking advice?
Well, you don't need to have it all figured out before you start. I feel really, you know, I feel like that was me. I feel like, where's the roadmap? You know, oh my
Right.
gosh, like, how do I do this? You know, is there a manual for spiritual healers or, you know?
Yes, right.
And just taking the next intuitive step. And this is going back to when I was going through all that pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a therapist that, you know, she's more like a life coach, really. And you know, she really helped me see how valuable journaling is. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that, to make that a foundational practice when you're going through and not when you're uncertain, and really feeling into where the next step might be. And maybe you draw pictures, and maybe you know, it's just about really being present to, you know, make space, make time for being present to your life. And I feel like those intuitive nudges don't necessarily come through meditation. That's a great place to be in, and maybe asking the questions and show me, you know, and you can say all those things, but having a creative outlet where if you're the gardener, the dancer, the cook, whatever it is that you like to do, fold laundry, it doesn't matter. But creating that space where you're able to then be open to hearing that next step. And the last thing I'll say is you're already enough, and the light is already within you. We have everything we need, just waiting to be remembered. And while you're journaling and you take that blank book, and something I offer my clients is then go to the last page and write down this or something better. And I just got chills, sorry.
Yeah. I love that so much.
That is something that I tell you, the universe is listening. And when we listen, when we kind of take those little steps, the universe is saying, oh, you're serious about this. Oh, if you're drawing a picture, yeah, that's okay. And that's how I'm in this space. I mean, I drew a picture of a house. I didn't know what I was going to do in the house. I just knew I wanted to be in the house and offer myself as a service. And then the house came.
Yeah, that's
Really, like, to the
beautiful.
T. It's just like amazing. So really, tap into that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful and so profound and just such beautiful wisdom that you just shared. So, thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel like that's just the perfect segue into for people to know where they can find you and where they can connect with you and learn more about you, learn more about your program that you offer, your services. So, if you just want to share, where you are online and where people can find you.
I am at, you can find me at innerlighthealing.co, and you can also find me on Instagram. It's dawn.innerlighthealing. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we'll have the links for that in the description below this video. So anyone who just wants to direct click, then go ahead and click the links below. Go follow her on Instagram. Go connect with Dawn online through her website. Go check out all the things. So many beautiful things that she offers. I love that so much. And I just want to say thank you so much once again for saying yes to this recording, which was, by the way, inspired by you. Everyone out there, Dawn was the one, she didn't say this directly, but something that she said that was not even related to this. And then immediately after, I was like, oh my gosh, we need to do the healer spotlight. So we wanted to share that. But thank you so much. This is so beautiful, so lovely to talk with you and for you to share all of this. So I just want to say thank you once again.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me and for just being my soul friend and angelic spiritual teacher and everything. It's been amazing. So thank you so much.
Yay, absolutely. Thank you, thank you. All right, everyone, share your comments below, your biggest takeaways, the biggest nuggets that you took away from this. And that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, we are sending you so much love and angel blessings. Bye. That was such an amazing, incredible, inspirational conversation with Dawn. And I hope that it inspired you too to begin to pursue your calling or to take that next step or to believe in yourself, even just a tiny bit more, so that you know that you are worthy and that you are meant to take that next step on your journey into being a healer or whatever calling you have as a light worker. And if you are interested in learning more about the Healer program, which is my Angelic Healing Certification program, then you can find all the details in the link below this video. All of the information is there. I run this program a couple times a year, so whether doors are open or maybe closed right now, you can sign up for the wait list. But this is something that is a really beautiful opportunity for those of you who are ready to step into more and ready to really expand when it comes to your gifts, when it comes to your calling and your purpose, and of course, your connection to the angels. So make sure that you leave a comment below. Leave a comment for Dawn. Check out her links in the description below. And I'm excited to hear from you. So I hope you have an amazing day. And as always, I am sending you so much love and angel blessings. Bye.